What's going on, everybody? It's Josiah here, and this video I wanted to share some information that's been coming to my attention, and it's really important because this is something that definitely affects all of us, no matter where we are, all around the world. So, right here, what I have in front of me is from J.P. Morgan. Definitely one of the most prominent U.S. banks, of course, and in this publication that they put out in 2009, they cited some major trends. All right, trends that have been exacerbated, made much larger since 2009, which was just the beginning of the aftermath of the crisis faced in 2008. So we'll see a couple of these things now that we're facing as essentially the American public, because we have a tendency really not to understand maybe the implications of some of the policies that have been put in place, to and at what they have to do with us, you see. First of all, I would like to bring attention here to the overall the currency index. Now, the currency index allows us to note what, in fact, currency is worth, you see, and its relative purchasing power over time. Now, since 85, and most notably since around 73, because that was obviously the decoupling from the gold standard, you'll see that it's left from its normal 100, all right, even higher it used to be, relative to around 80 today. Now, I like to put this into a historical perspective now, because over time, you see, this is where the U.S. dollar's reputation was built. You see, when its purchasing power was very high. Now, this shows the relative purchasing power between $1,000 and gold, which is about 3/4 of an ounce. But this, like we said, it does the job in conveying the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar. Now, especially after 1933, the confiscation of gold, as we see here, it's taken multiple drops, and drops now leaving us with just about 2% of what it used to be. All right, 2% of what it used to be. And now what we've seen here in the past 100 years has been massive price inflation. You see, in 1933, you could buy a suit and good shoes, a leather belt, you see, for just 1 ounce of gold. Let's make it even simpler. 1 ounce of gold was $35. Right now, 1 ounce of gold is $1,300. You see, what we witnessed is the evisceration of the U.S. dollar. Now, this is not anything, just to the U.S. You see, this is happening all over the world. Relative purchasing power, the declines of the yen, United States Kingdom's pound, euro, Canadian dollar, and the U.S. dollar. You see, they've all been on this trend down. And this is what J.P. Morgan now is noting. And you see here what is affecting now the factors of the U.S. dollar continuing as the world reserve currency, as the budgets, the debts, excuse me, begin to be created even larger. We've now noticed the federal budget deficit become a much higher output, and as it's even projected to go much, much higher in the future, when being in line with certain spending commitments that this government already has in place. Now, I'm going to draw attention to Exhibit 4 here, as this is definitely the most dangerous. U.S. personal savings rate. All right. You see, at the same time, the U.S. personal savings rate as a share of disposable income has declined from over 10%. All right, in the 80s, over 10% to below 5% most of this decade. People are not saving. This is a very, very strong problem, and this is really, really, many people's opinion, the real reason why the United States is in the predicament that it's currently in, is that families are no longer following sound economic principle, all right, in order to have long-term wealth, all right, to build wealth over long periods of time. So even if you may start off poor, you see, you will be at least able to retire comfortably within your means, and be able to live within your means over periods of time, you see. The situation still with the quantitative easing